So let's move to 14th quality, that is Dhyutiman, one who is endowed with splendor. I have no words, but let me make an attempt to explain the splendor. So I am going to read from Demetrian's book as to his first impression when he met Mahaswami for the first time in Secunderabad in 1968. He says, I look across the opening of the door towards the hall behind, a dark space black and deep as the abyss of time, when suddenly, quite far away, the obscurity faintly shivers. Its center is transformed by a colored undulation, a shade which progressively passes into orange develops. It becomes concentrated, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the threshold of the door, there appears Sri Mahaswami. He stands for a long minute in front of us. He is an exceptional being, harmony, discreet power and understanding. This is the bundle of the first impressions. There was nothing that shocked one's sensitivity, neither posture nor gesture. He seems to possess a self-contained force effortlessly emanating from him, while the sharpness of his mind is instantly apparent. In stature, he was medium to under medium size, somewhat below 1.50 meters, but he looked taller due to the aura that surrounded him. His long, fine ears were remarkable. From the distance where I stood, they seemed bright, deep and penetrating. The face was of an agreeable oval form and crowned by a high and even forehead that was dominated by the eyes that is deep and penetrating. The rest of the face, in which I guessed the expressive traits, was concealed, besides a strong but well-shaped nose, by a short white beard that framed the face and accentuated the high forehead. He also says, Mahaswami, the spiritual head of hundreds of millions of Hindus, did not wear an emblem of his position. Only the radiance of his personality, that is, his Dhyutiman he is, only the radiance of his personality would distinguish him from the barefooted and saffron-clad monks or sadhus whom one frequently observes on the roads of India. Not only Mr. Demetrian, who is no more now, talks about his splendor. Anybody who had seen him in close quarters or even from a distance, or even now when we see him in photographs, like you cannot miss the splendor that emanates from him. It is not due to the physical personality. I think it is due to the tapas, the 3 times puja he does, the control he has on his physical and mental personality, and the non-stop, that compassion that flows through his heart, the Advaita philosophy that he follows, that there is nobody other than him, or he is there in everyone and everyone is there in him. So when he looks at everyone with the same eyes, there is infinite love flowing through his heart. So that comes through his graceful eyes, and that makes his personality a beautiful, attractive, magnetic, splendorous one. So that is being a Dhyutiman. Then now let us look at the last but one thing, Anasuyakaha, one who is free from envy. Envy depicting one's merits as weak points. There had been again a number of devotees who feel that Kanchimat is one and Sringeri Mat is different, and they will keep comparing, they will fight amongst themselves and all. But Chandrasekharendra Saraswati Mahaswami had no such thought. Anasuyakaha, that is, not having envy. The followers of Sringeri Mat and Kanchimat have difference of opinion, and followers of one mat don't want to go to the other mat, and they feel our mat Acharya is greatest, and they fight amongst themselves. It's like a ongoing thing, but now it has thinned down a lot. But during the time when Chandrasekharendra Saraswati was there, and the Sringeri also had an Acharya with the same title, with the same name, Chandrasekhara. The friendship and the understanding and the respect for each other was so much that both of them would inquire about each other. When they both were observing Chaturmasya in a nearby area, whoever comes to have darshan of MahaPeriyavaa, he will say, "Did you go and see Sringeri Periyavaa?" If they say no, they will say, no, please go and have his darshan. And if they say no, he is in meditation, he is in seclusion, say no, so what, you go and try, have his darshan. Like that he used to tell them, go and do that. Another situation where these Kanchimat followers came and said, Sringeri Acharya is going to come to our place. They informed him. MahaPeriyavaa asked, so what? He said, we are wondering what to do. He said, assuming I come to your place, what all arrangements you will do all that and more for Sringeri Acharya's reception. That is the respect he had. And Sringeri Acharya also reciprocated the same respect to our Mahaswami. So, there was no asuya between them. But people who are normal, common people would feel that. But Mahaswami and Sringeri Acharya were much above all that. Now, let's listen to Maitrim Bhajata. That is what he propagated to the whole world through United Nations when MSMA was invited from India to sing in United Nations August Forum. A solid proof for his Anasuya and what was in his mind and the message that he wanted to convey to the whole world is given in this benediction of His Holiness Jagadguru Sri Chandrasekharendra Saraswati, Maitrim Bhajata. Maitrim Bhajata Akhila Hrijjetri. Cultivate friendship which will conquer all hearts. Atmavadeva Paranapi Pashyata. Look upon others as thyself. Advaita, he is telling in a simple way. Yuddham Tyajata, Spardham Tyajata. Renounce war, forswear competition. Tyajata Pareshwar Kramam Akramanam. Give up aggression on others, which is wrong. Janani Prithvi Kamadughaste. Wide Mother Earth, our mother is here, ready to give us all our desires. Janako Devaha Sakala Dayaluhu. We have the Lord, our Father, compassionate to all. Dhamyata, Dhatta, Dhayatvam, Janataha. Ye people of the world, restrain yourself, give, be kind. Shreyo Bhuyat Sakala Janana. May all people be happy and prosperous. Is there any name of any god, any religion mentioned here? No. His philosophy is applicable to the whole world. A true Sanatana Dharma follower, a true Sanatana Dharmi. So that is what is The last but not the least quality that we are going to be looking at is Jataroshasya Kasya Samyuge Devacha Bibhyati. Excited to wrath, to whom in the battle celestial beings, Devatas are also afraid of. So they don't get angry, but when they get angry, even gods will shiver. That is the type of anger they will get. In Sri Rama's life, he was very accepting and very Shanta Swarupi. But when he went to the Tirupulani and requested the Sagara to allow him to build the bridge and allow him to cross over to Lanka, he made a request and he waited for not 1 day, 3 days he waited, and Sagara didn't get back to him. So he got angry and he was about to dry the ocean of all the water and walk across Lanka, but Lakshmana, Vibhishana and all others stop him and say, no, let's not do, Sagara will come. And ultimately Sagara came and knelt down and he asked for his excuse, and then that sort of, he forgave. Rama had to forgive Sagara. But in the case of Mahaswami, let's see one incident, a very moving incident. It shows if Mahaswami gets angry, what can happen? This happened long time back. Those days, like there were Mirasudars, that is landlords. In a village near Thanjavur, there was a landlord called Narayan Swami Iyer who had organized a Rudrabhisheka to Tirvidai Marudur Mahalinga Swami. It was conducted on a Chitra Paurnami day, an auspicious day. And next day he took all the prasada, that is the bilva leaves, vibhuti, kumkum, chandan, and went to Kanchipuram because he is also an ardent devotee of Mahaswami. Went and kept the prasadam, did prostration and stood in front of him expecting that Mahaswami will say, oh fantastic, oh you got Rudrabhishekam done, fantastic. So he asked him, so what is this prasadam, from where you have brought, from which kshetram? He said, this is from Tirvidai Mardur. I did this Rudrabhisheka prasad. Oh, he said, oh, Rudrabhishekam involves lot of expenditure. So you are a rich man, but did you do it alone or you collected from others? He said, with lot of pride, this man said, no, I did it. I spent all the money myself. Mahaswami was nodding his head and he said, okay, you did it for Lokakshemam, that is for the welfare of the whole world. He said, Swami, it's like there is no proper harvest in the fields. So one of the persons told me that if I do Rudrabhishekam, I will get good harvest in my field. That is why I conducted it. So Mahaswami nodded again and said, oh, so you did not do it with Atmartham, that is from your heart, or you did not do it for Lokakshemam, that is for the welfare of all. You have done it for yourself. Fine. So tell me, who are the people who chanted Rudra? So Rudra is a Rudra Japam, they say. This, for doing a Rudrabhishekam, 11 Vedic Pandits will sit and recite the japa multiple times, 11 times. So he was so happy, he is asking for the names. He took out a paper from his purse and started reading out all the names. Halfway through, Mahaswami stopped him and said, was there a person called, what is the name? Let me refer. Yeah. Tepperuma Nallur, Venkatesa Ganapatikal. Was there a Pandit by that name? He checked his thing and said, yes, this man was there. Okay. He said, So then, how did he? And before Mahaswami could ask anything, this man volunteered saying, yes, there were all the Pandits, everyone chanted well, but this Tepperuma Nallur person, he is not chanting properly, he was murmuring within himself. That's it. Mahaswami widened his eyes and he was looking like Parameshwara himself, like Rudra. He said, what did you say? Do you know his age? He is 81 years. From his 16th year he is doing Rudra Japam, and Rudra Japam is in his every nerve, every blood, every, every atom in his body. So that sort of man, because he is 81 years old, he is not able to raise his voice. He is saying it, if he just sits and comes and sits there, Rudra Japa is happening there. And you told him, not just that, yesterday itself you told him, why are you murmuring? Why can't you say loudly? Like that, did you not ask him? This man, little shameful, he said, yeah, it happened like that. Mahaswami was still in that anger. And he said, tell me, did you give dakshana to everybody? And this man said, yes, I gave handsome dakshana to everybody. And those days 10 rupees was big amount, so he said, I gave 10 rupees to everyone. Mahaswami looked at him with anger and said, did you give 10 rupees to everyone? Tell me that. Then Narayan Swami said, no, I gave 7 rupees to this Tepperuma Nallur Venkatesa Ganapatikal. Because he started muttering. Mahaswami said, so you thought he didn't say properly and you have every right to cut his dakshina. But Venkatesa Ganapatikal took it with equanimity. But do you think you did the right thing? For such an old person and with so much of power in him, you think you are capable of reducing his fee. Even that 10 rupees is not enough for such people, but you thought you have done a big, good thing for yourself by reducing his fee. And then this man realized and said, no, MahaPeriyavaa, I did a mistake, and he started shedding tears and said, please excuse me. But he said, you didn't stop with that. Did you give them all food? He asked. He said, yes, I had arranged it in somebody's house and I made a lot of good items. He said, so what were the things? He said, listed out something. He said, did you serve chakra pongal? That is, chakra pongal is a sweet dish made of rice and dal and ghee and cashew nuts and raisins and all. So Narayan Swami, yes, and I served it myself to everybody. Swami again became like a Rudra and he said, did you serve everyone? When Venkatesha Ganapatikal was asking you repeatedly to give him one more helping, did you give him? He put his face down. Then Mahaswami himself repeated. So you thought you can act like as though you didn't listen to him, hear him when he was asking repeatedly for a second helping, and you served everybody else because you thought you are justified in sort of punishing him. Do you realize that you have no right or capacity to even think about that sort of thing against this great man? So this man was like, he didn't know what to do. He was just shedding tears and prostrated and said, please forgive me, Periyavaa. Periyavaa just stopped and he said, I cannot do anything about this. Like, you know what Venkatesha Ganapatikal did after this happened? He said, no. He said, he went to Mahalinga Swami, to the same temple, and he said, all these years I had recited Rudra Japa so many times in your presence. And today something happened which I feel has sort of hurt me. When I repeatedly, I have a taste for this sweet dish, and when I repeatedly asked for that dish without feeling ashamed, that man acted as though he didn't hear me and he went. So I feel I have not done the right thing by having this, liking for this sweet dish. So it is told when people go to Kasi, they leave something. So you are also the same Vishwanatha who is sitting here in this temple. So in front of you I am taking this vow. From today onwards I will not touch any Chakra Pongal, or why only that, I will not eat any sweet dish. This is the pratigna I am taking in front of you. He said that with tears rolling over his cheeks, he went with a sad heart that he was like attracted to such dish. That was his only grievance, not that this man insulted him. He felt and he went. So this Narayan Swami Iyer now told Periyavaa, I have done a mistake. He realized by then. So please, accept the prasada I have brought. It is Mahalinga Swami prasada. Periyavaa said, prasada will come to me from the right place. And within 2 minutes, Shivacharya of the same temple, Tiruvadaimardur temple, came with a bundle of the same prasada, and he said, yesterday one Jatilban did Rudrabhisheka in the temple, so I thought I should give you the prasada, so I brought it for you. And he gave bilva leaves, vibhuti, kumkum and all that. Periyavaa with lot of devotion took it and applied it on his head, which he did not even touch when the same thing was given by Narayan Swami. He applied it and he gave him blessings, he gave him shawl, and that Shivacharya went away. And now this Narayan Swami was crying and kneeling down and said, Periyavaa, I have done a mistake, so tell me something, prayashchittam. So how do I get out of this sin? Because Periyavaa repeatedly said, you have sinned by insulting that Veda Pandit. So Narayan Swami, when he begged, he said, excusing is not in my hand. If this Venkatesha Ganapatikal himself feels he can excuse you, it can happen, otherwise I can't do anything, and he walked away. So this Narayan Swami ran to Tanjavur again, went looking for this man, Tepperumal, and when he reached there, it's a small village, small Agraharam, so he asked somebody, where is Venkatesha Ganapatikal's house? That man said, see, look at that house in front of which many people are standing, that is his house, and today morning he died. So that man was so much full of agony for what had happened, he couldn't take it and he had died that day. So this man could not go and ask for his forgiveness, and the sin remained. And it is told that Narayan Swami Iyer lost all his wealth, all his land. He became literally a pauper. He left everything, went to Kashi, lived there like a beggar, doing penance and praying to Mahalinga Swami there in Kashi, and he died there itself. So that is what the anger of Mahaswami can do. The one thing that makes him very angry is when somebody insults a Veda Pandit. There is another incident where he came to know that the small children, Veda Patashala children, were beaten up by the caretaker of the Patashala. He didn't even hear it from somebody, he knew it. One day suddenly he was found going and lying down on a thorny bush where so many thorns are pricking him. And people were looking for him and they found him there and said, Periyavaa, what are you doing? Why are you sleeping here? So many thorns are pricking you. He got up, came out, took bath, and then he was like in silence for 2-3 days, and he didn't eat. He was in absolute silence. That's called Kashta Mauna. He will go like a piece of wood, no movement, nothing. He will be just with himself in meditation, in dhyana. Then after, when he broke that, meditation, people asked, what is the mistake we did? Why did you punish yourself like that? He said, in that particular Veda Patashala, the caretaker had taken the liberty of taking a broomstick and beating up the Veda, Patashala students who are all young children who have come there, leaving their parents, living there, learning Vedas because I had asked them to learn Vedas. And these children were given this sort of punishment for a small mischief they did. So, but the caretaker is taking care of those children every day. So, I don't want to punish him. So, I inflicted the punishment on myself. He didn't say that, but he stopped with it. So, that is the meaning. See, he inflicted punishment on himself for the mistake of somebody else because he couldn't, take the fact that those children were beaten up. That too, Veda school children, Veda Adhyapakas, the students. Adhyapaka is a teacher, Veda students students were beaten up. So that is the type of, anger Periyavaa can get if he knows that Veda Pandits or anyone connected to Veda, Shastras and, that sort of people are insulted or hurt by anyone. So that is a very moving incident which is like, makes us realize what can make Mahaswami angry. So let's try, even in some wedding and all I have seen, some people will tell the Pandit, no, don't say all this, stop with this, say it loudly, say it softly, don't do this, don't do that. And these people don't know anything and they have called the Pandit. Will they do the same thing with a professional in other field, with their chartered accountant or with their lawyer or with anybody else? But with the Veda Pandits, everybody takes liberty and they will give instructions. So that angers Mahaswami, that angers MahaPeriyavaa. Let's understand that and give due respect to them because they spend their lifetime learning and they spend their lifetime improving their knowledge and doing what all of us should be doing, but one particular sect is doing that. So let us give them the due respect. Namaskar.
रामचन्द्राय जनकराजजा मनोहराय मामकाधीशदाय मङ्गलम् रामचन्द्राय जनकराजजा मनोहराय मामकाधीशदाय महितमङ्गलम् कौशलेन्द्राय मन्दहासदासपोषणाय वासवादि विनुत सर्वदाय मङ्गलम् कौशलेन्द्राय मन्दहासदासपोषणाय वासवादि विनुत सर्वदाय मङ्गलम्
चारु कुङ्कुमोपेत चन्दनादि चर्चिताय हारका शोभिताय भूरि मङ्गलम् ललितरत्नकुण्डलाय तुलसी वनमालिकाय जलज सदृशदेहाय चारु मङ्गलम्
पुण्डरीकाक्षाय पूर्णचन्द्रनानाय अण्डजातिवाहनाय अतुलमङ्गलम् पुण्डरीकाक्षाय पूर्णचन्द्रनानाय अण्डजातिवाहनाय अतुलमङ्गलम्
विमलरूपाय विविधवेदान्त वेद्याय सुमुखचित्त सुमुखचित्तकामिताय शुभमङ्गलम् विमलरूपाय विविध वेदान्त वेद्याय सुखचित्तकामिताय शुभदमङ्गलम्
देवकी सुपुत्राय देवदेवोत्तमाय चापजातगुरुवराय भव्यमङ्गलम् पुण्डरीकाक्षाय पूर्णचन्द्रवदनाय अण्डजातवाहनाय अतुलमङ्गलम् विमलरूपाय विविधवेदान्तवेद्याय सुमुखचित्तकामिताय शुभमङ्गलम्
रामदासाय मृदुलहृदयकमल वासाय रामदासाय मृदुलहृदयकमलवासाय स्वामी भद्रगिरिवराय सर्वमङ्गलम् 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 स्वामी भद्रगिरिवराय सर्वमङ्गलम्
मैत्रीं भजत अखिलहृजेत्रीं मैत्रीं भजत अखिलहृजेत्रीं मैत्रीं भजत अखिलहृजेत्रीं मैत्रीं भजत अखिलहृजेत्रीम् आत्मवदेव परान्नपि पश्यत आत्मवदेव परान्नपि पश्यत युद्धं त्यजत स्पर्धां त्यजत युद्धं त्यजत स्पर्धां त्यजत त्यजत परेष्वाक्रमम् आक्रमणम् त्यजत परेष्वाक्रमम् आक्रमणम् मैत्रीं भजत अखिलहृजेत्रीं मैत्रीं भजत अखिलहृजेत्रीम्
जननी पृथिवी कामदुगास्ते जननी पृथिवी कामदुगास्ते जनको देवः सकलदयालुः जनको देवः सकलदयालुः दाम्यत दत्त दयध्वं जनताः दाम्यत दत्त दयध्वं जनताः श्रेयो भूयात् सकलजनानां 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 श्रेयो भूयात् सकलजनानां